Hi, this is Dustin back with Dustin's Dollars. Today I'm going to be talking about some potential upcoming catalysts that I see for Knightscope. Knightscope, the company, Knightscope stock. Um, Super quick note, I tried to make this video yesterday, got sort of cut off in the middle of the stream, so I am remaking it today to focus just on the catalyst piece that I see for Knightscope. Before I get into it, let me remind you that I am not a financial advisor or a financial professional of any sort. All opinions I express in this video are mine and do not represent those of any company or any other individual. I currently have a long position in Knightscope. So basically this video should be for your entertainment only because I'm biased and I could be wrong about everything that I say in this video. You need to do your own research before making any investment decision. All right, that being said, today I'm going to be talking about what I see as potential upcoming catalysts for Knightscope. And I'm going to jump right into it here. And the first one that I see is Knightscope has, stated before that they are working on FedRAMP certification. This FedRAMP certification, as far as I understand it, effectively allows them to, it authorizes them to do business with the federal government because they actually, their security robots hold data. This is how I understand it. Their security robots, by their very nature, they have cameras, so they're collecting data that, belongs to the federal government. And FedRAMP, as far as I understand it, is a set of guidelines and policies of how that data has to be handled. And Knightscope has to have that certification in order to actually then operate using the federal government's data. And this is pretty big for Knightscope because, as they've sort of mentioned before, I believe they have a sale at the at a Veterans Affairs hospital somewhere or something with the Veterans Affairs. They've already made a sale, but they can't actually deploy that robot because Knightscope is not FedRAMP certified. And I think this could be a big catalyst for Knightscope. The market being very forward-looking is going to see that when Knightscope gets the certification, that they already have one sale to the federal government. It's a pretty easy line of sight to see them having many, many, many more sales, potentially just expanding within the VA. And that the federal government has the money for that, or into other federal agencies. So that I think could be a pretty big catalyst. And they've actually stated their timeline for this is trying to become FedRAMP certified by the end of 2022. And so that could be a big one for Knightscope and effectively unlocks the market of the federal government. All right. Another really big one that I could see, and I don't know exactly when this would be, but this would be the K7, some progress, some material progress being shown on the K7 robot. This is Knightscope's, I should have had it open. Knightscope's kind of like a car, right? It's bigger than their current robot. It's meant for more rugged terrains. They don't show it there actually because they don't, I guess because they don't have it. But this is what their prototype looks like. It's I think much larger, and like I say, targeted to be able to cover a larger area than their current robots, and that that also unlocks a new market, right? They can actually now target, I don't know, airfields or whatever else. That they actually have. I think they have this maybe noted. No, they don't have the markets noted here. I think that the markets, but it just says multi-terrain outdoor usage, has the capability to operate in more difficult environments. I think in some of their investor presentations, they'd actually throw out a couple possible markets that they were targeting with the K7, but that's that I think could be a big catalyst for the company because now they have a new robot and a new market that robot can serve. And they actually have this, as if you saw where I was at earlier in in this filing. By the way, this is their offering circular. I know I've referenced it a number of times, but it's a nice. It's got a lot of little nuggets in there if you read through the whole thing. But I'm trying to cover some of that for you, so you don't have to read the whole thing if you don't want to. But feel free. You should read the filings for the companies you invest in if you're invested in Knightscope. But they had this as a target for one of their executives. I think he's the chief design officer, Mr. Lenhart. A $100,000 cash bonus upon successful completion of the K7 Alpha prototype. And I've mentioned before, I don't know what Alpha prototype means. That doesn't sound even still very far, but maybe that's very close to a precursor, very close to a saleable product. I don't know. we'll see. But I think any sort of announcement there, the market being forward looking, is going to give them credit for that progress. So we'll see about that. All right, another one here, and this actually is in the same section in their filing here. This is on management's near term targets. There is this little gem here talking about a $50,000 bonus for the CFO for successful placement of a debt or deal financing arrangement for the company. And I actually don't know if this would be whether this will be a positive or negative catalyst. Probably depends on the terms of the financing, the amount of the financing, and what they announce in terms of what that money is being used for. But that could be, more cash on hand that's not dilutive to shareholders, especially if they have a pretty good story of how they're going to pay this off over time. I think would be pretty nice. And I've talked a little bit before about the arrangement they have with, I think it's Dimension Financing, where that $10 million line of credit. That I think is a pretty nice thing for the company, and maybe this would be something similar, just even larger. I don't know. Obviously, we don't know what the company exactly is planning there, but I think having more cash on hand for them at their current stage, if it is happening in tandem with significant sales growth that we see, which is causing higher costs, just to produce the robots and you get them deployed, that this could be a nice catalyst to explain how they're going to pay for all of that. Rather than leaving it right now up to the uncertainty of hey, are we going to run out of cash in the next 12 months? Because that's what it looks like for the company at the current moment. If you saw my video, I've already gone over that. I have one talking about the liabilities and cash on hand. All right, another one that I think would be, it's not called out here, but I think would be a pretty interesting catalyst would be if we see another public organization that attests to the effectiveness of the robots, right? And we saw this with, I think it was the Huntington Police Department, where they have this video of the police officer talking to, I think, their city council. I'm not completely sure, talking about the data and the effectiveness in the robot and how they're there's a beautiful quote in there that is, and I don't have it on hand, I should, but it's something to the effect of robots do what an officer can't do, right? They do things that an officer can't do. That's huge, right? That is, I don't know what better advertising you could really have to say the robots are providing value. So I think that's huge. And if we see yet another public agency or public entity that would say something similar and attest to how effective the robots are and why it's money well spent, I mean, geez, it's fantastic advertising material. Every potential customer out there where you have a third party that is saying how useful the robots have been. And I think it's pretty easy to see how that would help, convert a lot of sales prospects into actual sales. So that would be great. Now, I think there's a couple potential catalysts that we could see just by having the 10Q and the 10 or 10K file, whichever one they file. Because again, I'm not quite sure how this works since they sort of transitioned from private to public, and they hadn't been filing quarterly reports before that. But whichever one they file first, presumably we're going to at least see results, 6 more months of results that we haven't seen yet, right? The most recent filings we have show us, the full picture of the balance sheet and the statement of operations, etc., from as of June 30th, 2021. And, so presumably the next one we will see will go all the way through the rest of 2021. And if we see growth in revenue, and in terms of number of robots deployed, as I've sort of speculated before that we will see, that could be huge for the company, right? That's going to be a great headline when they say Knightscope is, grew 50% or even 25%, right? It's better than the flat revenue that we've seen in the past couple filings. I think that's going to be a potential catalyst. If we do see that, I think that would be well received by the market. That's my opinion. Not quite sure, right? Maybe people are actually looking into it as deep as as what I've sort of see and think that there is actually growth already occurring, but who knows? I think another one that, and this would be a bit of a surprise to me, still given the state of the company, but if in that filing, if we see their margins improve, or really if we see their their gross margins turn positive, that's going to be a good sign that management is actually controlling costs, that they're not just making it up, and they're not just hoping for things to improve, that they're actually making it happen. I think that will be another potential catalyst that we could see. And this is smaller, but I think reiterating the FedRAMP timeline, right? You can see this. You saw it up there where they actually stated in here that they're targeting. Again, targeting doesn't really instill bunches of confidence, but at least gives you something in your head that they are targeting the end of 2022. And it's one thing for them to say that as of, June 30th, 2021. If they're still saying that as of, the end of 2021, the end of the first quarter of 2021, that gives you more confidence that they might actually hit that target for getting FedRAMP certified. And so I think just reiterating that in the filing would be useful. Then I think there's a couple sales type announcements that if we see certain sales, it could have a bigger impact than just the small sales announcements that they have been making. And I think there's I talked about those partnerships that they have with both Securitas and the one that was just announced yesterday with Allied Universal. And I think if we start seeing sales come in and they're called out as being part of those announcements, and you see some coming in rapidly, people are going to give more credit to those because it's going to, it gives you a clear picture that yes, that partnership is actually fruitful. That partnership is actually turning into a lot more sales than what the company could just do with their direct sales staff and marketing strategy and such. And that might, actually be a driver for growth in the near term. And so that sort of class of sale announcement, one from that says it's through one of those partner channels that could bring a lot more because of the large surface area they have with that partner, that might be pretty big. I also think, we've seen a couple announcements where they say, hey, this client renewed. We've even seen some where they said, hey, this client added one more robot. I think if we see an announcement where it's of the form where a client says that they are going to expand to multiple locations, and they're expanding to more than just to one new location, right? They currently have robots at one location, and they say we are going to deploy one of these robots at 5 more locations or 10 more locations. I think they're going to get credit for. I think the market is going to receive that more favorably, and give a look forward ahead and see how that could apply to other customers, because when you see this, the number of deployments at a particular customer sort of multiplying, you can see how that could apply to other customers. And now instead of viewing it as, well, they have 100 robots deployed right now at 70 clients, you're thinking, well, we have 70 clients and they like them. Many of those clients are not just, mom and pop shops. They have many, many locations. Some of them have hundreds or thousands. And if those 70 clients multiply and say, hey, we'll stick these at one of each of our warehouses or one of each of our hospitals, whatever the client's business is, and that turns from 70 clients that each have an average of 2 robots to 70 clients each have an average of 20 robots, that's humongous. But what we have yet to see, this is the point that I'm making, is we have yet to see that expansion happen within any particular customer. I think when we do see it happen, it's going to, tell a pretty good story for how future growth could occur, very, very plausibly and very quickly. And then these are a little more speculative and not things that I would put too much faith in, but I think, I think there are a couple stock-related catalysts that we could see. One of them, and these tend to be more of a temporary boost, but I think some of them are material. And I've mentioned before about ETFs buying in, and I do think when we see just the passive ETFs buying in, it will temporarily probably create an imbalance in supply and demand for the stock, where the stock will probably go up because they are buying. But I don't think that that's going to be, a material impact in the long term. I think that will sort of even itself out. I do think that if we see an actively managed fund, and I mentioned like ARC-Q in the past, I think that, where's it at? There we go, down there. I think if we see an actively managed fund where they're actually trying to pick winners, we see one of them buy in to Knightscope, that would be interesting and could bring some new attention and could bring some more faith behind some buyers there. I mean, obviously this fund buying it, but actually just the optics of seeing somebody like ARK buying in, you know, that would put on a lot of people's radars, and give them a little bit more of a vote of confidence, I guess you would say. And then another one, and this is probably the most speculative thing that I'll say in this whole video, but it's not without some cause. I think the short interest report will be interesting, right? And we haven't seen this yet. We have seen that the borrow rate is huge, right? It's been over 100% for most of the stock's existence, which makes sense because there just aren't that many shares to go around right now. But I think that could be interesting. And again, this is, you go on certain parts of the internet and you see folks who are all about, you know, everything's a short squeeze nowadays, and that's not what I see happening for Knightscope. But I if we did see high short interest, or like, I'm just saying that this actually puts it on some folks' radar, and that could potentially get a couple more people interested in the stock. And because it is a low float stock for the moment, you know, relatively speaking, I think that could have some effect. Again, I'm not hanging my hat on that. I'm not trying to say that that's actually a big deal even, or and certainly not a long-standing impact of the stock. But I think that's it is something that is, I'm not going to say unique, but is much more notable here than it is for a lot of other companies. So, all right, that is what I want to cover today. That is what I see as upcoming catalysts for Knightscope, the company, and Knightscope stock. So thank you very much for watching. And